Hi everyone. So now I'm in Mexico City. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room. Oh, sorry. Um, I got in really early and I just crashed because I've been traveling for 24 hours with pretty much zero sleep. So yeah, relieved. That's the first word that comes to mind. Um, and tomorrow I actually move to a loft in Roma Sur, which will be good to just be more stable and maybe begin to develop some normal sleeping routines again. I had such weird dreams. I took maclonidine quite late, paired it with Belsomra, and that can have hypnotic effects, and so that produced lots of threads of dreams, surreal ones, and kind of visual nightmare that involved true crime and where I had to be on the run. So maybe like Roxane Gay, I'm a bad feminist. I mean, she said in some book years ago, maybe even in that book, or in an interview, that she loved crime shows, particularly Law and Order SVU, and I've been very partial. But let's say it's also because Olivia, played by Mariska Hargitay, is actually a real daikon. Yeah, and so I followed her for years and kind of secretly, what's the word, lusted? I don't know if that's the word. I always had that kind of inclination to be attracted to people independent of their gender, but since medical and social transition, I've increasingly felt any appeal of men in that kind of erotic way has just slipped away. And now it's like even the way you experience attraction is different. And when you feel that, or when I feel that, it's like an electrical current. And it doesn't happen with just anyone just because of being female. It happens with certain people. I've not acted on it, and I don't want to get up in someone else's space, and I would certainly never give anyone unwanted attention. But it is good to sort of realize this and to accept it as part of my evolution. I guess if I'd thought about transition over the years, I'd never really thought about that aspect, but it's definitely something that's more and more come to the fore. Yeah. Um, After our panel, when I went out with the panelist and her friends, they talked heaps about sexuality, and I thought, sexuality? Do I even have one? I haven't had any kind of relational intimacy in 10 years. Um, and that's not because I wasn't, you know, fond of and indeed loving towards my partner. They just didn't want it. And I often wonder if they just detected in me that I wasn't your standard issue, you know, male. I mean, they say that they never expected that they could never have guessed, but everyone I know was unsurprised when I, started to transition. Like one of my friends said, finally. Yeah, but the other side is that increasingly seeing myself or being seen as well as a lesbian is another turn. And I guess it just means I've not stopped being queer. I was never going to fit into a heterosexual pigeonhole. But anyway, I really like Olivia, and that's one of the reasons why I watched that show, as well as being a bit like Roxane Gay. Um, I don't really watch that anymore, though. I have to say that was kind of pre-pandemic. Don't really watch much unless I'm invited to. Got a plasma screen here. Could watch something. But I'm figuring that I might actually go out for dinner before too long. I should not go to bed early because I had a big old sleep today. Getting up at 2:30. Big sleep debt, right? Yeah. I've already been out once. I went to El Péndulo, which is a cafe and bookshop. And of course I had to resist buying books, but it's really nice. Yeah, it's also interesting to be in the state of transition where I can be read differently sometimes, according to presumed sex. Um, and that can play either way. Getting manned a lot, getting surd sometimes. I feel like a weird hybrid still. Um, but it keeps it interesting in the sense that no one's ever offensive or weird about me. It's just a matter of perception, you know what I mean? Like, even prior to medical transition, I remember once being on a political march and this woman came up to the side of me and said, "You're looking beautiful today, you're glowing," and attributed to me the female gender. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe that. Like, where's this coming from? I'm just giving it a vibe. And, admittedly, that's happening more often with medical transition because it changes, like the contours of your face and body. But yet again, there's still, because I'm not like really femme and not, I guess, wanting to present that way, sometimes my butchness gets read as boyness, and there'll always be those blurry lines, I think. Quien entiende, entiende. Whoever understands, understands. Yeah, it's about shifting visibilities. But it is nice to be here in Mexico City and, not with the pressure of being in the US around these things. That was my option, to come here early to feel more at home. And but it is the first time since transition I've been back here, so kind of like if I compare that to India, like I got more male attention when I was in India, and I didn't like that. I really found that very disturbing, but it is what women go through. What will happen this time, I have no idea. I think that every place has its gender order, and we step into it and we never really know how we're perceived according to cultural codes and stuff like that. I think that African American women tend to view me as female. I found that in New Orleans routinely, and I found that through, like TSA and on the plane when I was getting manned. I'm not going to correct that, but it's still a bit of a guessing game, and I never quite know how I'm going to get pigeonholed. Does it affect my sense of self? Not really. I'm not going to call someone out because they say, sir or caballero. It's not offensive, because my lesbian friends get that too. And really, it's inoffensive because it's not meant with ill will, and unless you have a significant relationship with that person, why do you have to sort that out with them? Why do you have to make a point? I'd never do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, having a strong sense of who you are is what matters, not what other people think. So if you ever have that situation yourself, do try to remember it. I know it can feel a bit hurtful or weird, but we're all trying to get along in the world, and gender's like this sorting system. So even non-trans women get it sometimes. Yeah, get called Sarah or whatever, or seen as not living up to femininity or feminine ideals. You do know when men consider you to be female when they start helping you, and they perceive you as ditzy. And like, I kid you not, I was ditzy pre-transition. It's not got anything to do with transition. Like, I'm just a bit unco, as we say in Australia, uncoordinated. And so, like, I came across this self-serve machine to buy some items in an airport store just before I left LA. I bought some Doritos, And I was really confused about how to use it, and this kindly man came along and showed me how. And then he looked at the Doritos that I was carrying, and he saw that the packet was quite flat. He goes, "Oh, there's not enough there not enough in there. I'll get you a better deal." And so then he like took the time, and he went and reached for a really like fat pack, and he said, "You see, there's more." And it's like, he gave me this beautiful smile, and I'm like, wow. I've never been given that treatment before. Like, maybe he was a bit sweet on me, but, you know, the sad news is I wasn't on him. But it's interesting how it can play out, and, I mean, there's part of me that doesn't want help, but, if it gets me through a lane quicker, why not? And if it gets me a better deal, why not? They're just Doritos. Anyway, I gobbled them all up, which is neither manly nor womanly. It's just being hungry. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this Letters Update. I'm a bit delirious, but it's lovely to be here.